Debra, many thanks for joining us here today. We're going to talk a lot of different angles here on entrepreneurship, technology, concept, strategy, building a brand. Let's talk about the here and the now. When you and your husband, I suppose, finally built Row House, it's been such an incredible journey for you. Did you envision where it would get to today? 300 plus studios across the US, one of the most recognizable boutique brands. Was that what you envisioned when you and your husband first built the company?
Well, Ross, thank you for asking that question. You know what? We kind of did, actually. That was our goal. Our goal was to make Row House a household brand. It spoke for itself. It was catchy, Row House, and you didn't need much explanation of what it is. And that was really our goal. Our goal was just to make it that household brand, bring it out across the country, across the world. And it was a bit of ignorance is bliss, right? When you're an entrepreneur and you see other people, peers in the fitness scene who have gone on to do amazing things, who have been at the beginning of some of the biggest brands that are out there. And you're saying, well, they're my peers, I can do it too. That's really where we were. We were fitness professionals. We had been teaching years and years of classes. And we were just saying, why shouldn't there be rowing machines just the same way that there are rooms of spin bikes? And we loved spin. We taught spin for years, but why couldn't we do it on the rowing machine? And by the way, there's tons of treadmills, rows and rows of treadmills. So why can't we do it on the rowing machine? So we thought that we could really just figure out that perfect balance, given our studio fitness backgrounds, our entertainment backgrounds, our technology, I guess, proclivity at that moment, as well as just our knowledge of the market, having spent so much time touching customers that were looking for results, people who had false starts, people who were trying to, make changes in their bodies. And we knew the benefit that rowing could bring. And we felt like we knew how to, coach clients up, but more importantly, create instructors, because we had been through that journey. And so that was really what we wanted to do, bring it all together, have the perfect balance between entertainment and good programming that would deliver real results, and wrap it up in a great inclusive brand that would make a ton of people that weren't exercising because they didn't have a good cardio option for their bodies go ahead and get on a fitness plan. And it was ignorance is bliss. We were just basically like, okay, listen, we can do it. So we're going to go out and do it. And this is going to be our ultimate goal. And I guess this is where we've landed. Through a lot of hard work, though, Ross.
Well, look, you absolutely did do it. And the brand success is testament to what you've both put in there with belief and with passion. Now, let's kind of reverse back a couple of years here, Debra, because, of course, you've made decisions on how best to scale that business. One of the key decisions you made was to partner with Xponential Fitness, a household name itself now. And you chose, obviously, to partner them. And the franchise route might not seem obvious to some, but obviously one that you choose. Take us through your mindset and why you chose Xponential, why you chose franchising. Was that, to you, the best way to scale the business going forward?
Yes. Well, there were a few different strategies that were people were employing at the time for going big, for growth. And really, we had been bootstrapped. We were self-funded. We used our money from each studio to grow to our next studio. We had started with CrossFit studios that were profitable. And so our thing was really, we were going to have to take on some investment at some point to continue to grow. And what was the best way to do that? And we went out and did a ton of homework. And it was an interesting point because at first it was, are you building a brand or are you building a business? Are you creating brands and lots of excitement and buzz and all of that? Or are you doing more bottom line, unit-based economics? What is the EBITDA of the location? To have an investor conversation with regards to that. And so we started to talk to strategic investors and to strategic partners and looked at different expansion opportunities. And franchising was very interesting to us because it would be a way to get into more communities without having to operate on multiple time zones and without having, to operate in cities or neighborhoods or communities where we don't really know all of those people. I'm a mom in a local school in New York City. I'm not a mom in a local school in Chicago, Illinois. I'm just not. So I can't turn on those dials and create the community and create the relationships and be next to my manager every day and all of those types of things. So we didn't want to stretch ourselves too thin. And we did want to find a way to create everything that Row House stood for in multiple locations. And that's why franchising became very appealing to us. We definitely wanted other people to be able to dig in deep to create community in their neighborhoods and, to find the potential clients that were still sitting on the couch because they hadn't found that viable fitness opportunity. They didn't find a cardio that was low impact and soft on their body that they could do when they were deconditioned or anything like that. We really wanted to come back to that real true effort of serving those local communities. And again, franchising helped do that because you would find people in those communities that knew the community well, knew where to put the fitness studio, knew how to activate the community, knew who the right people to hire for coaches and front desk and all of that would be. And so we did go out and look at franchising on our own and all that would entail. And it's a lot of work. Being a owner and operator of a studio and then going out and being a franchisor as well is just a whole huge additional layer. So we recognized pretty quickly that doing it with Xponential would be a great opportunity. At the same time, we did explore other options for the growth. So we looked at corporate-owned studios and we had that all mapped out and lined up and a real opportunity there that came to fruition. And then we looked at going digital and we had a real opportunity there with a global partner and did a lot of due diligence on that. So luckily, we went through each due diligence category and came to a decision that we felt really, really good about and really, really excited about with our partners at Xponential. And yes, they have gone on and done amazing things for Row House and for the other brands in the portfolio. But ultimately, we did give our baby up. We gave our brands to them to expand that brand into the future and just were able to stay on also in a fashion that we felt was beneficial to us, which was to watch it grow, to watch the vision, to help, embark all of the other franchisees to continue to build their businesses and build their communities, but not to operate the day-to-day and handle those day-to-day decisions.
Now, you're a very successful entrepreneur now, and you're even advising and helping other entrepreneurs in the space. Some of these entrepreneurs have great ideas. Perhaps one has a concept, one has capital they can throw around, but sometimes you need a multitude of things to add up to be a successful entrepreneur in today's marketplace. Deborah, what do you think are some of the secret ingredients, or certainly some of the absolute must-have ingredients for fitness or wellness entrepreneurs to succeed today?
I think one thing is resourcefulness. Being thorough and being resourceful probably go hand in hand in my mind, but you have to just be really, really thorough. You have to ask questions. You have to get feedback. You have to listen to that feedback. You have to ask more questions, and you have to be really, really, really thorough about your understanding of what you're doing, of where you're going, of who you're bringing on as a vendor, all of those different pieces, because as my husband would like to say, what doesn't, it's not what you see that kills you, it's what you don't see, or, that expression, Ross, I get my expressions wrong all the time, but basically that's the thing, you just need to really, really, really be thorough and look through and uncover all of the leaves to keep driving your boat forward. But also the resourcefulness factor, never be scared to ask questions and always ask them of a variety of different people, because nobody truly understands as an entrepreneur what you're going through except yourself, because nobody knows that complete journey and all of the different factors except you. And also you're the most passionate about what brings you to the table as an entrepreneur in the first place, right? So always ask people questions. Be resourceful, go to more people, keep an ongoing list of who you could go to for what. Can you go to this person for real estate advice? Can you go to this person for legal advice? Can you go to another person for a different type of legal advice? You know, who do you go to for work-life balance advice, or just negotiation advice, or just if you're feeling down and need a little pep talk advice? You need to go to people all of the time. And many people, I think, are willing to help and just, you know, to hear you bounce things off, especially if they've been through the journey before, because it is hard and it can be isolating, you know, unless you have that community of people around you helping to cheerlead you on. So I think being resourceful is just really, really key. And then the other thing, Russ, I would add is, you know, think about why you started in the first place and get back to that. You know, if you're not there, and maybe sometimes you can't be there at the exact moment because you're working through something that needs your focus and your attention, but try to get back to your ultimate goal or your ultimate dream. And to that, I would say, you know, there was an earlier question, Ross, where you asked what was our goal, and our goal was to get very, very big. But you know what? There were points along the way where we forgot that because we were just in the middle of figuring something out. You know, we had hired a staff member that we found out was not being truthful with us, for example, or, you know, we were short a coach and we're trying to figure out how to get everybody on the same page to find somebody and rehired, and just became so focused on the project at hand. And it needs to happen. And you need to go through those just urgent types of reactions and responsibilities. But take some time to, you know, separate from those things as you can. And remember, where are you going? And just constantly reset and constantly think strategically about how you can ultimately get there. And stay in touch with the people who you want to be your ultimate investors, you know, or who you want to find as a partner, and say to them, what would you need to see from me, you know, ultimately, so that we could work together, and then manage your business along the way to get there. Those are, I think, all very, very important things to be thinking through as you're working your business, because otherwise just time and time and time can go by. So you do want to be thorough, you want to be resourceful, you certainly want to be strategically connected to where you're looking to go, and to know how you're going to actually get there ultimately, and trying to plug that along day by day.
Let me ask you what your thoughts are, Debra, on how you build a company. What do you put at its core? Now, there's a lot of talk just now about technology and people trying to put technology at the core. There's talk about experience and putting experience at the core. There's talk about being member-centric and putting members at the core. Is there just one single thing in the core? What did you put at the core when it comes to Row House? And perhaps dovetailing into that, what are your thoughts more widely on technology?
So at the core of Row House is really authenticity. It's authentic movement pattern is rowing. Rowing is centered in a sport that has tons and tons of heritage. So a really authentic sport. And, you know, just ultimately we've built this brand to be about authentic people, you know, being very, very inclusive to the world's community of what you see in the fitness market, right? Whether you're older, younger, injured, non-injured, conditioned, deconditioned, this is all just a big aspect of the authenticity of Row House, which is really, really core. We're not focused on gimmicks. You know, you won't see people at Row House using the machine to do step ups or using the handlebar just to do bicep curls. We don't do that. We're really pretty much tried and true and focused on that fitness regimen, which again, it's the sport of rowing, it's indoor rowing, which has world championships, or it's just, you know, a fun fitness class that you come in and enjoy with the lights out and the music pumping. So that's really what's core to Row House and something that we've built our culture around. And then there's more additional layers of that culture, you know, having to do with camaraderie and visits being rewarding and all of that. You know, data and technology is important, and it's important to Row House, and I think it's important to all brands. But ultimately, to me, I look at technology with regards to how does it support the brand's culture, right? So there's certain technology that we need. We need a client check-in system, obviously, right? Do we need tracking? What should the tracking look like? That should be very true to the brands. Is this brand a high-tech brand, or is it a little bit more of a low-tech brand? I think that's a brand-related question. Certainly, I think the market is asking for an element of connectivity. The market is asking for an element of tracking, right? People on, heart rate monitors, on watches, but the market is always also asking for connectivity between humans, right? And so how much connectivity you have between your humans and with the technology, I think, again, is a brand's related decision. Some brands, I think, don't want to put technology heavily into their programs. And for us, Xponential has built an amazing technology backbone and infrastructure, and it connects all of the Expo brands together. And that's been a huge benefit. Also a benefit that I don't have to think about or worry about, as the founder of this brand, because they have that covered. Technology takes a ton of time and resources to continue to do well. So, if you are embarking upon using technology within your brands, I do think it's important because the market is asking for it, but make sure that you're really looking back and saying, does this deliver to my brand's core promise? Does it deliver to my brand's core competency? And don't go too full speed ahead into technology without recognizing that there's going to be work you're going to have to do to continue to maintain and innovate on that technology.
Let's look at the wider boutique marketplace, Debra. It has been the epicenter for innovation and for growth-led companies for the past couple of decades. I mean, every single major brand in the boutique space that we can name as household names tends to come directly from the US. What type of modalities, what type of companies are you currently following or exciting you in the marketplace? Of course, you have your rowing champion with Row House, but what else is exciting you at the moment in time?
Well, I am definitely focused on that 80% of the market that doesn't exercise. I kind of always have had a passion and a love for that group. As mentioned, we did create Row House, keeping that person in mind. I was thinking about my 94-year-old great cousin who had been rowing every day, 30 minutes, who said, you don't slouch over, you'll only stand up taller as you age if you do this. I'm also thinking about the women who I put on a weight loss program many, many years ago, and it was a dance-based program, and they had a really, really hard time staying focused on this program because they had over 50 pounds to lose, and their body just couldn't support doing this type of fitness modality. So I'm thinking about people and hoping that they're getting motivated, number one, and that they're being supported from the things that they're doing on a day-to-day basis, number two, right? And I just know, having touched clients, there's a difference between pain and soreness, right? There's a difference between feeling motivated and feeling intimidated. And so everything that I'm personally looking at or interested in working on is helping more people experience what it is to live a healthier life.
Now, Debra, I also know you're working quite heavily on advocacy, on making sure our industry is coming together as a unified voice, that we're sharing resources, that we're speaking to government. Can you share some insights onto some of the work you're doing just now in that field?
So the fitness market in the US, at least, is very, very passionate. They're very, very robust, but unfortunately we've been fragmented. We've seen a huge growth in boutique, whether it be brands like Xponential, tons new franchisees or franchise partners coming in, other brands, and a lot of mom and pops in the studio space. And then of course there's just all of these gyms. And so ultimately, what we're finding with this advocacy is there's so many passionate people that are wanting to go out there to share, with our government officials why we're in this business. We're in this business because these are great businesses to be in normal times, of course. And we're passionate about helping our communities and keeping them healthy, safe, and strong. So what we're really finding is just huge amounts of opportunity to band together different businesses who maybe once saw themselves as competitors because they're down the street from each other or what have you. But now the conversation has really come more to how do we galvanize together? How do we work together as an industry? Because we are each other's, allies, and get more of a seat at the table in all of the decisions that are made. Obviously, in some states in the US, we're closed longer than in other states. And in some states, we have stricter rules than in others. And in some, the weather is warmer and there's more outdoor space. And so there's different ways that people have been able to pivot their businesses. And that's really becoming more of a local or a state level type of a conversation. But the national conversation, again, is how do we stay at the forefront of just the country to go ahead and continue to make people healthier. And so that's really the efforts of the NHFA in the advocacy that we're working with. This is an IHRSA appointed group. And, IHRSA has stepped up really as that global voice to continue to advocate on behalf of fitness businesses and just make sure that we're tracking all of the right issues. And right now, GYMS Act is something in the United States, which is a specific targeted relief program that we're asking for Congress to help support. I know other countries have had other different types of advocacy and all of those types of things. But IHRSA and the NHFA are focused on continuing to track all of the relevant issues. And there are many of the issues beyond just that GYMS Act one that will just help continue to make the world a healthier place and bring the fitness industry to the forefront of that conversation.
I couldn't agree more, Deborah. I think we've got huge admiration for our partners at IHRSA. They do a great job. And I think it's so good to see this collaboration and this defragmentation of these industry through these challenging times. One closing question, and let's look maybe positively over the last 12 months. I know that's difficult, but let's try and do that. There's no doubt lessons in life and business and love that you've learned. And perhaps let's just take this last question. If you could share any positive themes, thoughts, lessons learned that you're going to take forward in your life.
I think being resourceful, again, is one of those things. It just keeps coming up for me. I mean, there were so many dark days over the past year. And what helped, I think, all of us and all of the people I talked to through was just knowing who's your community, who are you pulling together with, who's helping you. And honestly, this is big part of the reason that I've gotten involved in the advocacy is because it gave me the hope I needed every day that there was going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, that there was going to be another side of the pandemic that we were dealing with. And it gave me something to channel my energy into. And so, always just looking to find what are those things for you? What are the things that make you feel good no matter what? Who are those people that are there with you that you can count on to, continue to lift you up and bring you to the other side? Because also on the topic of entrepreneurship, that will always be there. Hopefully never as big as what many of us have endured in the past 12 months, but you go through the roller coaster ride, you go through the ups and the downs. And so in life anywhere, entrepreneurship or regular life, you're going to have downs. So that community and just seeing that and focusing back on that, as we go into the next year, who are those people? It's just so important. And it's just a reminder all of the time of the importance of it. So I do try to, also reach out frequently and thank people who have been there supporting me. The whole Row House team, the Xponential team, my family, all of those people are just so meaningful. And I think we should all just take a little time to continue to remember to do that, on a weekly basis.
Gratitude. I think that's a very good ending to draw it to a close on, Deborah. Thank you very much. Congratulations to you and your husband for all you've done, and look forward to seeing whatever you get stuck into next. But for all the advocacy work you're currently doing, for all the help with championing other ambassadors and companies, we wish you, your husband and your family all the very best. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. The Fit Summit has been a wonderful, other interesting piece of the pandemic, right? We've just connected so much better with our global community. And thank you for that. It's been a real pleasure to get to know people on the other side of the world.